Good morning, traders and investors. I'm Joel Alconnen, along with Dennis Dick, Brent Slava, and Jake LeCure, scanning the wires for up-to-date news.
Hey,
And
wait a minute. Who'd you
Benzinga's
forget?
pre-market show. So, did I forget somebody?
Yeah, I think you did.
Kurt.
No, nobody likes Kurt.
Okay. Oh, and Joe Young, mighty Joe Young. How did I forget you?
I don't know, man. I don't know. We were digging into the archives earlier, right? And it looks like I'm back there with the beautiful mind.
Okay, so what can you give us a preview of today's show?
Well, it's Tuesday, so it's Options Outlook Day with Nick Chahine at Racer Nick with creating income with option spreads. And then we have a return guest, Sheldon McIntyre at Hert Capital, will be on all the way from Chile at 9 a.m.
Okay, and then we got Dennis. How you doing? Did you get up early and catch that move in Merck?
No, and I'm kicking myself in the butt here this morning. The stock traded 59.5. Who buys Merck up 3 points in the pre-market? Traded a lot of stock up there too. Traded traded a couple thousand shares up there. So free money for whoever got up to trade Merck off the earnings at 59.5. It's now at 57.5. So free 2 points.
How much heat would you take on something like that in the pre-market?
0.
Zero. You would have
But
sold.
the only thing, like you were saying, if I was out there, I would have probably been offering at 58.5 and probably blocking it from going higher.
Right.
And yeah, so and not only that, there'd probably be that penny jumping algo that'd be sitting in front of me at 58.49. So I probably wouldn't have got it anyways.
Would you just use one of your iceberg orders on that? Just 100 shares and just keep refreshing, and
I usually use hidden orders, honestly, because I don't like that penny jumping algo in the pre-market that sits there and jumps me. So if I put it out there hidden, then if they go to try to lift the other guy, they often will interact with your order. So usually I do actually the combo. I'll put out the order on the lit exchange, and then I'll throw out the hidden order in front of it. And then, I have two chances to possibly get done. If somebody tries to lift me and the penny jumping algo gets in front of me, maybe my hidden order gets executed. And then sometimes it's all strategy trying to get executed. The old days, you used to be able to throw out your limit and get done when somebody buys it. Now you got to watch because there's penny jumping algos and all kinds of other fun stuff happening. Other people with hidden orders, and it's just a debacle trying to get executed on your limit order.
All right, let's just go back to the S&Ps here. I guess Merck is giving it a boost. I just look at the daily here, and I got an important level to deal with. You have yesterday's high. That chart looks kind of juicy, doesn't it? There, the last three highs, we're bumping up against it right now in the pre-market. 72 in today's session has 72.75 has been the high. We hit 71.75 yesterday, and then Friday 73.75. So big wall right there. We haven't been able to get through it yet, but if we do, in fact, we could be trading up in the 18 handle today.
Show yesterday's chart there, Joel, because obviously we had the big. We opened up. We ran up 7 or 8 points right off the hop. They gave you the pop to fade. We were looking for that. And then they sold them off, and they killed them for the next 3 hours, knocking this market all the way down to around the 1845 area. And then around 2 o'clock, we caught a bid and rallied all the way back up 1866. Now we're all the way back up. And JH3 was talking about the V bottom, and that's right. That's what that looks like, is a V bottom. What does a V bottom mean? It means a couple of things. It means there's a lot of people that are probably caught short stocks that were probably trying to fade it on the way back up. A lot of people like to play the 50% retracement. It did pause a little bit there for a couple minutes, probably caught a few people. But you got to consider that there's probably a few people that were like, when stocks started breaking down yesterday, oh, that's the breakdown to short. When they start popping back up that quickly, sometimes they don't cover. So there could be a few people caught short. Wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a squeeze here this morning, which we are seeing as the S&P futures are trading up 5.5 points here. So I'm looking 1865, 1866, probably the lows of the session where the settlement was. You probably get a little bit of support there, but this is a wacky market here, Joel. It's a wacky market. That random walk algo we were talking about the last week, he seems to be back there again too, because these stocks are all over the place.
Yeah, the close right there, 66. Didn't spend much time below there, so we'll use 1865 as our support point. Just a quick run up in crude. Strong open, rallied off the open. We have hit yesterday within 4 cents of yesterday's high. Potential resistance for crude here, 101.52 we hit yesterday's session, 101.48 here. Backing off a little bit here at the 101.30 level. Keep an eye on that. And then the market.
Speaking of crude, before you go over to gold, ExxonMobil and Chevron both broke through their resistance levels there yesterday with the big size we had talked about on XOM at 101. Took it out early in the session. Chevron took out the big size at 125 and quickly ran almost to 126, is trading above there this morning. So both of those oil stocks, oil's been hot, and that sector still continues to get money here.
Yeah, did take it out. Let's see, it did take it out off the open, right? And it took out the 101 and then kind of sold off. So if you bought that going through that 101 the first time, you got a little bit of a haircut here. But now things are really opening up for XOM here. Let's look. I know it's not. Is this all-time high? I can't remember for ExxonMobil. I know it's been a
while. I think it is. I think it is an all-time high for Exxon. You got something?
Yes, it is.
I think it is.
Yep, you're right. You're right. We stopped a couple times at 101.74. That's the all-time high. Did that at the end of last year. I'm not sure what is standing between that and where we're trading now, 101.49. So potential resistance there, but it is holding the $100 level. I just wanted to touch on gold here. The market goes up, so what does gold do?
Sells back down.
Yeah, gold's $1,300. No fears in Russia here at the point, so selling off a little bit. Looking at the support point here, we got down to 1286.10. Besides that flush out that you had, down to what was that low that you had? 1266? No, 1268.40. Turned around on a dime on that one. I don't think we'll see that low of a level in gold today.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Brad. How you doing?
I am doing excellent here on the Benzinga News Desk. Got a bit of breaking news, of course, from 8 a.m. We had results out of 3D Systems, also had results out of MGM, and then we had news that Target is going to be naming a new Chief Information Officer. Let me jump back to the 3D Systems results really quickly. They reported Q1 EPS 15 cents. That was right in line. Sales a little better than expected at 147.8 million. Jumping over to MGM real quick, they reported 21 cents on sales of 2.6 billion. Let me see if I can get an adjusted number for that MGM, but I'll let you guys kind of dive into the charts here.
Okay, not liking the Triple D numbers, huh, Triple D?
Well, it's selling off a little bit here. We've been noticing that they have been fading the reports here, so I don't know if I'm going to we'll have to wait, obviously, till 9:30 and see really what happens here. I think I'm going to sit on my hands in the pre-market on this one and let it digest the report there, but was kind of sitting on a cliff there the last few days. Had a lot of lows in the 49.5 area. Broke through it a bit yesterday, got as low as 48.5 ahead of the report, but the chart looks a little bit scary, but they're holding up not bad here. And see already it's starting to come back a little bit. Where do we get down to, Joel?
That spike that we just had took us down to the $48 level. And nice round number there. Getting a pop, a stick off of that. Going to the dailies here. Man, I can't really see anything at 48 on the chart. I see a 47.75 low on the 21st. So if that's an early parameter use, 47.75 to 48. Don't think I'd want to be shorting it down there, but you can use that as support. If they really want to jack this thing, 45.29 has been the low of the move.
You know what I'm thinking on this is obviously you've got everybody leaning, and this thing has been getting sold off for 3 months straight here. Could this be one of those reports that everybody's kind of leaning the wrong way on, and this could actually be one that they could rally on a not so great report?
It's in line, right? Right?
Yeah.
And what did they do? They sold like 3 or 4 printers, up from 2 from last quarter. So
how much do they make, Brent? What do they make on that thing?
Let me see you want the profit figure?
15 cents. They made 15
cents. That was right in line. Maybe jump over and check out some of the other guys. Stratasys, see how that one's trading following the report. I don't know.
Down $1.40.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. I mean, the charts look pretty same, and there's like XON is the other one.
XONE, yeah.
Yeah, XONE. Let's take a look at that one.
No trades.
No trades, and then the one that Jake likes to follow, VJet. They did. Let me get my VJet.
No trades on that either.
No.
That chart is ugly though, man. That VJet chart, that thing was $45 in January. It's $15 now. Woo! That is one ugly looking chart.
They did. They did a big secondary at that $15
Yeah, I
price
remember
too.
that. That's
Yeah. So
yeah, they were selling low as
yeah.
opposed to some of these other companies when they're selling high, they're selling low on this stock, and sometimes when you're selling low, they go lower too. I don't like really any of these charts, but that being said, I think this sector has been very out of favor for a very long time here now, and it wouldn't surprise me if something kickstarts this. I don't know if it's going to be this earnings report here or not, but I'm not coming in here shorting on this report because I think a lot of people are leaning bearish on this stock, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those that actually could reverse. I don't know if it's going to or not, but it has the potential to do that. So I'm keeping my eye on it. This thing starts trading over the settlement price of 49.26. I might get interested.
Can we take a
So
look at Aruba Networks here real quickly? J Dot's throwing that in here. Just do a quick technical
sure,
analysis.
ARUN.
Getting a pop here. Getting a pop. Let's see what.
20 bucks has been absolutely enormous on this. They're just looking at it from April, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 highs in early April. Took it out, came back, and we're down yesterday. We went all the way down to 1884. Where did we bounce up to? 1998. So 20 bucks resistance, very well defined in the stock.
Yeah, it looks like it was just going to you know where and then turned around 1955. Trading a little bit off in the pre-market, not a lot. I think you're right though, Dennis, with that 1998 high, using that $20 level as I call it minor resistance. I won't call it major resistance. But coming back on the downside now that you rallied a buck from the 1884 level, you probably got some Momo guys here short. So you're not going to get down there. You'll have to find some mid-range number, maybe the close. Use that as a number. Potential resistance too. A lot of lows though ahead of that 1884 number and the 1870 and 1880 level. Needs to break this string of what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 lower highs and 4 lower lows and 4 lower closes. So need that trend to be broken.
The other one that Brent just mentioned, MGM, which reported is trading up here about a $1.10 right now in their report. 23.02 is where when I was trading 24.15.
Big move.
I'm looking at the book. Somebody's sitting with 21,000 shares on edge in the pre-market on this. That's a huge pre-market order, which is only 7 cents up from where it's trading right now. That almost looks fake to me. Like when you see them in the New York book at the whole numbers, usually they're a little more reliable, those orders, but I don't know if that's real or not. If it is real, 21,000 shares are going to hold this stock down here, at least in the pre-market, but I'm not sure if that order is real.
Is that active on edge right now or not?
Yeah, active on edge. You can lift them. You want 21,000 shares MGM right now? They're available 24.25.
24,
a lot of stock.
I'm not buying. No way. I mean,
That's a lot of stock. Do you want to sell in front of it? You want to sit in front of it? Should I sell? Tell me what to do. Come on.
Yeah, put 10,000 ahead of it because then if
10,000 at 24.15.
Just go 24, jam them. No, 20.
Well, somebody already is jamming them. Somebody's in front of them at 24.
It's someone on that.
for
It's someone
1,000.
in the options house chat room. I bet you is doing that. 24.33 was your high on Friday, so I'll stay away from that one.
I'm looking here. I'm itchy. I want to sell this thing right now.
Itching the
but I'm not.
trade.
That guy's faking me out over there, and then I'll sell it, and then he'll move, and he'll be going all the way up. He's trying to layer me.
That's a big order on edge for pre-market.
Huge.
Yeah, but it's up.
It's a big order for any time on MGM. That's a huge order on almost any stock. 250,000 shares. That's big, man. All right, we'll come back and we'll see if he's still there in the pre-market. Remember to come back to MGM. Let's just look at a couple other ones. Merck, which I was already complaining about here this morning, reported earnings 88 cents versus 79 cents, 10.3 billion versus 10.44 billion. Reaffirm outlook, and they're like, "Oh, we got to buy this stock off the bat." They buy it all the way up to 59.5. Come on. Merck doesn't go up 59.5 unless it's getting taken over. They're having a drug that cures cancer. $3 on Merck. That's ridiculous. I wish I had my orders out there this morning on Merck, and usually I do trade this off the report. I went out for my friend's birthday last night. I decided to sleep in for an extra 15 minutes, and look what it cost me here. I've been selling that Merck.
It was bunching up just under 58. There must have been a big seller at the point. Now where are we trading now? Now we're trading at 50. Almost flat.
30 cents only, which is what you'd think it would be up. I think that's a little bit more fair. I bet you I wouldn't be surprised this thing goes negative today. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. I've been leaning to sell some of these pharmaceutical companies. I don't know if it's going to do it or not. It's actually a pretty good report, but at 59.5, sold to you, man.
You got a decent level here to look at from the pre-market, just kind of hanging out at 57. So we'll see if that can hold on the pre-market trading. That's giving a little bit of support. Closed 20 cents off the low of the day, though. I mean, it didn't really rally back with the market. So you got a good support level if it comes down to the 46, 48 to 68 level. Maybe go 56, 55 or something if you're short and leaning on yesterday's low.
Also had Bristol Myers report earnings there too, 46 cents versus 43 cents. The stock really didn't trade much off the report here just about an hour ago. Is actually trading down here now. We're trading at 49.52 on Bristol Myers. Yesterday got down to 49.40, so I guess that's the first level you got to watch out for. But the real support is a couple points lower. And if it got down there, I might do some bottom picking, but I don't think it's going to do that.
Spotty trades here. Nothing really big. Taking a look at the range from yesterday, 49.40 was the low. We are sitting 10 cents above that level. You had another low at 49.58. So this 49.50 level, pretty important here for Bristol Myers. Perhaps get back up, maybe try that 50, 50 again. I don't know if anybody's reloading at the point. Below 49.40, 50 area, look out. Could be heading for $49.
Earnings last night from a couple of gens there. Brent, you still kicking around that Herbalife reported earnings, $1.50. That was a pretty decent report, but lots of fun stuff happening. Can you give us a summary?
Yeah, sure. So they raised their guidance. They terminated their dividend in exchange for a buyback plan. And just literally minutes after their report was out, Carl Icahn was tweeting, great move by Herbalife to suspend dividend and buy back shares. So, I mean, it was literally about 2 minutes after the report came out, so I would say he definitely had some kind of knowledge of what was going to happen. The fiscal year 14 guidance was raised from a prior range of 585 to 605 to a new range of 610 to 630, and the street's down at 604. So some pretty strong guidance there from Herbalife.
So everything looked pretty good except this terminating the dividend thing, which Carl Icahn was trying to say is good for the stock on tweeting out. Well, it's down 80 or 60 cents here in the pre-market, so I don't know. I don't personally like them terminating my dividend. So what Carl says, it's good for the stock. I like getting paid still too. It had 2% yield, so I guess it's going down to 0. So the market's not liking it that much.
They are going to be buying back almost 600 million in shares over the next quarter or so. So I mean that's a big number, but yeah, it seems like the street is really kind of weighing on this dividend termination news.
Joel and Brent, you know why I like dividends better than buybacks?
Because they put money in your account.
Exactly. They're putting money in my account. What happens is a lot of times they do the buybacks of the stocks, and then they end up giving bonuses in the form of shares to the management and everything else. And that money isn't going to me half the time. They'll give more shares to the management stuff. When they give me a dividend, it's in my account. It's my money. So that's why I like dividends better than buybacks. And when you're terminating a dividend to do a buyback there, I don't like it either. So I don't know. I'm shaking my head on this one.
Yeah, tight range though for Herbalife over the last few trading sessions. Did have some spiky activity in the pre-market, but if you look at this stock, I mean, it's been trading between $57 and then it got up to $59.40 yesterday, but it's really been $57.58 for 3 of the last 4 sessions. Here we are trading in the pre-market. You did get some spiking around, like I said, but you're at 58 and a quarter. I think I just would use that 57 even level, major support. As long as it holds that, I think you got a chance to rally back up to 60. You take out 57, though, I think we could be trading down in the lower 55s, maybe 55.34, April 21st low. No word from Ackman, though, right, on this? He doesn't.
I don't think I've heard anything yet.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple chances to cover, a couple good breaks, but it just seemed to float back. But we'll see. I'd keep an eye on that $57 level.
Keep an eye on New Skin, too. Obviously, that moves with this stock a lot here. And NUS has been consolidating here for a long time, man. Just kind of been hanging out, waiting for something for a catalyst there. We'll have to keep an eye. If HLF starts to sell off, I'd expect New Skin to follow. HLF starts to rally, I'd expect New Skin to follow. So if you trade New Skin today, I'd use HLF as my leader.
Yeah, 85.90 been the range for the last 4 or 5 sessions in New Skin.
There's also that USANA, that's USNA. It also trades pretty closely with the other two there.
What do they
Okay.
what do they sell in pyramid schemes?
You said it, Joel.
He's joking.
They must
everyone.
have a really good pyramid scheme because they are just bumping up. Wow. They are just, the Chinese have not caught on to them yet. But looking at this stock, I mean, this thing has some major resistance. 80.77 we hit in yesterday's session. Go back, you had an 80.67 high on the 10th. So, man, this thing is attempting to break out. We'll see what happens at 80.77.
Let's look here at Joe Young's favorite stock, Buffalo Wild Wings, BWLD. Stock is trading up here nicely in the pre-market. It was trading nicely up after hours last night too. After the report earnings, $1.49 versus $1.34. 367.9 million versus 362.9 million. Beating the top, beating the bottom. Same store sales increasing 6.6%. That sounds like a pretty good number too. Only trouble of the matter, it's coming into an area with a lot of resistance. Pretty much the entire month of April trading in these lower 140s, and that is where we are trading now.
The initial spike took it up to what, I believe 144 and change here. Actually over 144, 144.70. But now you're just hanging out at 140 here, Dennis. You didn't mention a bunch of highs, 140.05 and 140 even, the highs from Thursday and Friday of last week. So let's see what happens here. Up $6, holds 140. Definitely has a chance to rally up perhaps to the pre-market high. Doesn't hold 140. Whew, man, you got a long way to go to get to Friday's close at 136.52, and then the close from yesterday 133.39. But I don't like their wings, so I'm not buying the stock.
Yeah, they're not bad.
They're skimpy. They're skinny wings.
Too small. They're too small. Maybe it's just maybe just had a bad experience there, Joel. Give them a second shot. BLDP reported last night, pretty late, around 6 p.m. last night. They were sneaking in this report. They lost 3 cents. We were supposed to lose 4 cents. They reaffirmed the outlook. That probably means that they're reaffirming that they're going to continue to lose money. But anyways, the stock is trading down here 20 cents in the pre-market. It's down 5% at 387. Obviously, this story has been dead money here for a little while. That Plug Power, man, it's been getting absolutely rocked. I wonder if the BLDP is going to start following suit here, too. It is this morning. It's down the 6% now.
Looking at the pre-market trading, it's just hanging out here at the 384, 385 level. Not really getting a bounce at all. Low of the move is being 341 on the 15th. A couple other highs, 352 and 358. So see if this 380 level can hold up pre-market. If not, you could easily see this thing at 350. And the Plugster, they did that secondary, right, at $5, and it's
Is that where it was?
Yeah,
Is that where it was priced? $5?
I think so. I think Brent, is that? I'm pretty sure.
I'm going back to find it.
I don't think I'm making that up, but yeah.
I remember the secondary. I never heard the price, but
looks like 550 actually.
Oh, 550.
Oh.
those people are 90 cents underwater now if you bought on that secondary. Just it looked okay a few days ago, but now it continues to sell off here. Man, this story is over.
Yeah.
At least for now. At
Like,
least for now.
You know, like Nick said, batteries. I mean, how long have we had batteries around, right? And they're
Yeah,
creating
didn't Radio Shack specialize in batteries?
a bunch of lows in the mid fours in this thing. If 450, if you are so inclined to buy a stock that's going down. But before it had its big run up, almost to $12, did have a couple daily lows in the lower 450s.
Couple other ones here. Here's an interesting note. AT&T launching in-flight Wi-Fi. That is not good news for GoGo.
Oh,
not
no,
good
no.
news at all.
Not good.
Because GoGo focuses on in-flight Wi-Fi, and it is down 20% as AT&T is going to come into their space. AT&T up 15 cents on it. Not a big deal for AT&T, but a very big deal for GoGo. And GoGo is challenging, actually, and now taking out that low that we set back on April the 15th at 15.18. We are now trading below there, Joel.
This is a no-no for GoGo, obviously.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Oh, boy. But it's free. I mean, isn't everything free? I mean, you
No, it's
that You gotta
expensive.
pay.
I just
hate
tried to
that
do it.
thing, man.
Oh, you,
I just tried to do it on my Delta flight. It was like $30 for
Brutal.
4 hours maybe. It was about $10 an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's bad, and I sometimes get it just because if the markets are open and I'm
Yeah.
flying during that time, I want to trade. So I
Yeah.
literally will pay that go, and I'm like, man, this is such a ripoff. It's like you're right. It's like $10 or $15 an
Right.
hour.
And I had to
Sometimes, or you can subscribe like long term with
Oh,
them.
really?
And pay.
But if you
Yeah,
buy a
so they
Google
have
Chromebook-
packages and
wait.
stuff too. But if you just want in-flight Wi-Fi now on demand, it's like $10 or $15. So I don't know. If AT&T comes in that space, I don't want to go shares whatsoever. So you can look. It looks cheap here right now. I think it gets cheaper.
Joe, you were going to get a comment in there.
Joe,
yeah, I
yeah.
was gonna say that for GoGo in-flight Wi-Fi, if you have a Google Chromebook, you have 12 free in-flight Wi-Fi
nice.
passes.
Nice.
I figured that out on my trip to Phoenix a few
And-
weeks ago.
You know, Dennis, when I was on my flight, I go, oh man, $10, that's a lot, and I had to consider it. I had to say, maybe I had to try to do a little math in my head to see if it would be worth it, and I decided not to. But that's just the thing. I had to actually, kind of say, well,
Did AT&T come out with their price on it yet?
what? No, I don't think so. But
Free.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
AT&T
that would be
did.
damaging.
They did say that it's going to be a high-speed 4G LTE based in-flight connectivity service. I'm not sure if GoGo is that high of quality or not. Jake, you know what kind of quality GoGo runs there?
They're gonna.
In air? You mean the quality of signal?
Yeah.
It's good.
It's good?
It's quick.
It is
Gotcha.
pretty good. I've traded on it, and if I can trade
You've
on
traded
it,
on it?
I've traded on it. I've traded everywhere. I've traded
Whole
on
new
like-
level.
Traded at the bottom
I
of the ocean.
I can hear Dennis like he loses money in the trade, and he's like yelling at the stewardess, "I had to pay for internet too."
Oh yeah, I'm crying. Double up those blue lights.
$13.98 is where this thing spiked to, and now it's just holding up at the $15 level. So, if you want to potentially lose $1, buy it here at 15. Use $13.98 as a stop. But the story is over for GoGo here. I mean, this stock, boy, you're going to get down to levels here. Back in October, even below that now. I mean, you got to go to 1375 low and 1407 low back in early September. So whoever was buying it at 1398 in the pre-market was looking at those two lows. So it gets back to 14, pretty good support. I want to try and catch a falling knife in this one.
When you're a one-trick pony and AT&T comes into your territory, I don't know. I'm going to stay away and let this thing digest and see. That's just scary to be picking bottoms in this thing today. Let's look here at some of these momentum stocks yesterday. We talked about the V bottom, but first, let's not go to the momentum. Actually, let's go to the new value stock that everyone in the whole world loves. Joel, you had a great call yesterday on it. Through 575, you're like, this thing could go straight to 600. I don't think you thought it was going to do it yesterday, though.
No.
Holy cow. Apple, just phenomenal move. They just took off. And you know what we missed on the show, and we should have been thinking about it, and I'm knocking my head. On Monday, it was Monday, and all those options expired on Friday. So you get everybody that had, calls, maybe the 575s or the 570s, and they're selling the stock against it. Well, those go off the board. And obviously, now that liquidity from those options, people selling against their stock positions, is then gone. And the real buying came in and just propelled this thing to new levels there. So something to consider there. We talked about that before. Well, after the Friday expiration, you often see big moves on the Monday. And that's what happened here in Apple. Everybody wanted in, and they got in, and there was no liquidity. Well, there's not as much liquidity as there would have been on Friday. And this thing went up $20, man. That is unbelievable.
We are going to bring in Nick Chahine to get his take on that. There was just nothing there. In fact, one of our subscribers, Luann, sent me a note for a custom level analysis on Apple, and I just said if you have the weekly options, you need to take them off unless you're so inclined to roll over. I mean, in hindsight, to roll them out, sell your call, buy the next week. That of course that would have been the thing to do, but you never know. And I said, but long term, you gotta kind of hold on for 600. I did not think that it would do it in today's session, so we'll see. I mean, it's a number. It's not a huge number. There's like no highs or lows there. It's just a psychological number, and if the spoos continue like they are today, Apple should have no problem getting to 600.
It's just that defensive trade too, like we've been mentioning.
It's a
Apple
value
is viewed
stock.
as safe. It's
Yeah.
viewed as safe right now, and so many other value stocks have been taken off. Johnson & Johnson made a new all-time high again yesterday. We're talking Chevron, Exxon not too far off of their all-time highs. Procter & Gamble was blowing through levels yesterday that I hadn't seen the last 3 months. Closed all the way up at 82.94. Full disclosure, I am short Procter & Gamble. Here is a trade right now off that 83 level, which I'll probably cover here off the hop. 83's got 200,000 shares there. Every point on Procter & Gamble is another 200,000 share offer, it seems like. And I'm always sitting there leaning on them. So anyways, a lot of value stocks have been very strong here. We talked about the utilities being fairly strong too. So Merck is playing a little bit of defense still here, but I mean, they were playing after 2 o'clock yesterday. They were aggressively buying everything across the board there. Did you see some of the bounces in some of those Momo stocks, Joel? After 2 o'clock?
Yeah, I did. I was actually trying to, do some updates on things, and I was like watching Priceline, and I'm like, oh, well, it's $10 off its low, $20 off its low, and then it was, how much did that thing end up rallying? Priceline. I mean, of course, it's
30 over 30 $35 off the lows, I think.
Dennis,
Closed.
usually this kind of volatility, I mean, signals a, top, but it just the way they're ripping this thing's back, it almost thinks that you're just going to have, I'm going to bite my tongue on this, like a melt up. Like they come in with a good unemployment number or something, and, this thing's just going to melt up.
It seems like if you're short and you get up money in it, you've got hours now, not even days to cover. You get a few hours to cover, unless you're picking the right stock. I mean, some stocks just get killed, but a lot of these things, they don't stay down that long. A lot of the momentum stocks have been really weak there. And interesting enough, look where Priceline bounced from, 1107.
I saw
that.
that.
1100 area was huge, man. So if you were picking bottoms, thinking the February lows might hold, didn't quite get down that far, but you were well rewarded there yesterday picking bottoms. And you know what? People are going to continue to come in and pick bottoms in this market as long as they continue to be rewarded. And I don't know when that story ends here, but every time the market pulls back 1 or 2 or 3%, if you're buying those pullbacks, you're making money right away, and that just seems to be what happens.
Unless you're buying Bank America.
Well, and it is. It's very sector specific here now, and you've got to be careful. Like I know there was an article there, and they're saying stock correlations are as high as they've ever been. Well, I'll tell you, just from looking and from being a trader in the markets, stocks are not correlated that well. So maybe the overall numbers are showing correlation still, but I'll tell you, sector specific trading is in right now, and financials are out. Financials are out, man. Bank America, that's absolutely brutal news though. When they, obviously the news that they gave there yesterday, and the stock just got killed on it. It brought the entire sector down with it. JP Morgan, I was looking like in the morning, and the financials were the weakest stocks across the board, and then it started to spread into the momos and started to spread everywhere. But this sell-off started yesterday morning with Bank America in the pre-market. As soon as that news came out, you had to be selling stocks, and that's what they were doing. And now we're back up to where we were, not on the financials, but on the overall market. And I just wonder.
What do you think if this hangs out at 15 for a while, though? You think you'd be tempted to step in a little bit? No.
I'm not interested in it at 15. There is somebody interested in it at 15. Somebody just put 117,000 share buy order in the book. Some institutions, so they're defending 15 here this morning. It's not huge for Bank of America though. Already traded 750,000 shares this morning, so they could cut through that like a hot knife through butter. Hard to pick bottoms on that news. Here, but let's just go for the people who didn't actually listen to the show there yesterday morning when that news was breaking. Bank America. Let's just give the headline here.
Yeah.
Brent, do you have it in front of you? I'm trying to hunt it down.
They suspended their 2014 capital plan.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Brent.
suspended it. Adjusting for regulatory capital ratios. Says no impact to previous announced financial statements, but that just doesn't sound good. Also, plan to suspend the dividend increase. A lot of issues there. So that's scary for the market, and that's why Bank of America killed. And I just can't see this thing just bouncing back all of a sudden on this. I think this could, and it was already out of favor. I mean, this sector had been out of favor for the last month and a half. So maybe you could argue this was a capitulatory move, and some people will say this was a capitulatory bottom when everybody just threw in the towel and get me the hell out. But I don't know if it is or not. I just can't see coming in here buying it today.
Okay, we're gonna have Mighty Joe Young dial up Nick Chahine here, Racer Nick, getting
Morning.
Hey,
Oh,
Nick,
he dialed him up. Nick snuck in on us again there. Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
We're doing
Not too
okay.
bad.
We're doing all right. Just talking about this intraday volatility here, Nick. Is it got you scared at all, or are you just using these dips as buying opportunities?
It is pretty scary. Anybody that's not scared by headlines that whipsaw markets like that is fearless and doesn't belong in the. You're just gambling. You have to be scared. How can you not be? But sometimes you can see it coming a little bit, a little bit. Like yesterday's pop was more of, I sometimes say that bullish is just one letter away from you know what else, right? Bull something else. So yesterday I got sent to KP duty by Fari because I tweeted him that, and he didn't like that. So anyway, so sometimes you see it coming. Today I'm a little more comfortable with futures being up a little bit as opposed to yesterday's. But the good news on yesterday is that we salvaged the day, whether because of Apple stuck in there or other things. But boy, I mean, yeah. Did you see Priceline yesterday touch almost
Yeah,
1100?
yeah, we did. We did touch on that. Almost got to those February lows. So, how do you approach it? I mean, did you try and catch a falling knife yesterday? And some, I know
I
you like to play the momos. They
I
gave you,
did, and
yeah.
I got scared. I did in Google, and I got scared, and it cost me a couple grand. So I bailed out and I did the right thing at the wrong time. So, but live to fight another day. So yes, I did try, and then I said, you know what? What the hell am I doing? I'm just gonna back out and wait to see what happens, and I'll trade afterwards. And that's what I did. I had a good day because mentally I was out of it just watching because we're gonna lose fingers. Here's the thing with the momos. That's what was really scary. I mean, the depth that they went to, some it's a gut check for a lot of these momos, and some of them I think are gonna this drop is forcing them to go through a change of mindset for all the traders, and some of them are actually going in fundamental changes like Netflix. I used to say that the world was giving it a pass like Amazon as to, okay, global growth is driving the price up, but now it's going to have to go through some major
Oh,
changes, like today the deal with Verizon. They're paying, the cost is undisclosed for faster delivery. So how is that going to change your model? So right now Netflix is in the penalty box for me because I don't know how we're going to trade it going forward. It's got some major things going on in its stream. It's like Google saying, "Oh, suddenly their traffic is going to be exposed to some new element or price hike or something."
so going in fundamentals. Okay, before we move on to some issues that potential plays for today, Dennis and I were talking about Apple and how it kind of got capped on Friday, but we were possible theory. People that had all those weekly options were just selling stock against the options. They're gone on Monday. A lot of time you see that resistance cleared up, just saved the market yesterday. Do you have some long-term positions on an Apple you're still holding on to, or did you try
I
and reload after the earnings?
I cashed in my long position just after the earnings. I broke one of my rules and I sold credit spreads, but for July and at 450 in one of my IRA accounts, and it was a long-term play. I sold them at 99 cents, I think, and I closed them at like 20 cents. So it closed them. It closed most of them just before the earnings, and then I left a little small position just after the earnings, and I haven't touched it since. Open interest tells me that 600 is going to be a good challenge for it. That we might try to poke through it just to stick it in somebody's eye, and then but it's all calls almost above 600 for this week. So, but people love splits, and they might be chasing that split, and I don't understand why. So I'm out of Apple for now. I will trade it in its new neighborhood when it splits.
You get 7 more shares, though. Doesn't that mean you make 7 times more money there, Nick?
In this stupid market, it does because they'll split it and then chase it right back up. Yeah, yeah. So I'm sad about the split because now the big dollar stock goes down, and
Yeah, you like
with
the
it go down
big
the
dollars.
premium. So
Right.
now the easy trades become a little trickier. Speaking of open interest, I don't know what to make of it. Maybe you guys know. Ooh, the future just took a little dip down. What I was looking at the small cap RUT contract for this week, and I have to double check it. My platform is showing me that there are a couple of lines at 1020 and 1030 that have 40,000 puts each. That's like dwarfs everything. Everything else is like 1,000, and then you get 42,000 in two separate instances in the
What
puts.
were
I
the
don't
strike? What strikes there, Nick?
1020
A 1020, 1020.
on
And it-
RUT
Yeah.
1020 and 1030. So check it out and let me know if you throughout the day if you guys can come up with a theory on that.
Okay. For some reason, I'm not getting the symbol on that. So, are you a Twitter player at all? I mean, you got the earnings coming up. They're throwing in the chat here that Kramer predicts more pain. New CEO paid millions last year. Terrible looking chart, hanging out above the lows, all time lows at 38.80. Are you tempted to do anything here, like a 43, 46 call spread or something like that, or you just
I'm
have no
I'm
faith?
I'm
No
tempted
faith.
to play a put play on it because I just can't see how what they're going to say that's going to excite everybody. The only savior is that if we continue green today with the upbeat momentum of yesterday, maybe the market will give it a pass. Whatever they say, they'll pop it on it. But I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to look at the options and see where everybody's lined up, and I'm going to line up with the herd.
Oh, you're going with the herd on this one. Okay.
I'm not. Yeah, I'll put my Dennis Gartman hat on. I'm not as smarter than the guy out there. I'll just take whatever the market tells me. So, it's. I don't fundamentally believe that the company is going to the moon. They have a lot of. I love using the product, but again, I don't see how they have to tell me how they're going to make money at it. And so far, it's a maybe. I don't know how they're going to make money on it. I need to know a little more about that.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
something that Jake's been saying, since the IPO, that they got the traffic, they got the users, but hey, show me something.
I think their problem is when they report, everybody doesn't like their user interface and interaction is because they really report it honestly as opposed to LinkedIn and Facebook. I mean,
Ooh.
they count every account as active account, especially LinkedIn. I mean, I know they spammed me for years before I even used them, and I bet you they counted me as a user since the beginning, and I wasn't up until like months ago. And even then, I rarely touch it, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So that's not a really good user. I'm on Twitter all day.
Yeah, yeah. Usually, I'm actually following, on Twitter. I'll be on there and just following all the people that I follow, and it's good at breaking the news too, because a lot of times Twitter will actually break it before a regular news feed sometimes, because the news feed has to obviously source it and make sure that the information's correct. Where you get a rumor on Twitter, they can just throw it out there right away. So
Right,
if you follow the
exactly.
right people, it's actually great for breaking the news. So
Yeah.
I like Twitter too, but again, I don't click on any ads on Twitter though, and when they pop in my stream, I kind of just ignore them. So it's still a matter of figuring out, I guess, how to monetize it.
Exactly.
And also, I mean, when you have the Twitter up, or I mean, I have it on my phone and stuff. I mean, it's not dynamic. It's like you got new tweets. And then you got to click on that, and you get the new tweets, and I'm just like, I'm too lazy. I mean, I just. You see it, stock twits. It's a little bit different. You have the stream, and you don't have to keep hitting updates. So if they could figure that out, maybe I'll buy the stock.
I prefer to hit update.
You
The
do.
the stock twits is a little too fast for my eyeballs. The update, at least I know I've got 10 I haven't read yet, then I know where to start reading. With stock twits, you got to keep watching it, and it forces you to be stuck to it. Although I do like the stock twit fact that it's more real people as opposed to a lot of eggs following you on Twitter. So from an from investing, StockTwits is better that way with your own community. Yeah, but the Twitter thing is you can always set it to text message you, so I get them through text message
Right.
statically.
Right.
This,
Right.
the straddle there, I'm just pricing it out to 40.5 for
Yeah,
this week.
Nick, give Dennis
Fi-
some advice on this, please,
I gotta
Nick.
stop looking at these
Please.
straddles because I just sell them and I get killed.
I don't like selling the
$5.70.
straddles because I don't like selling the straddles unless you scientifically know what you're doing and you have some sort of I mean, it takes a lot of work to figure out the band as to
Yeah.
what's going to make you money, and then it just takes one to mess it all up. They're tough.
$5.70 is what they're pricing for volatility on this one. So $6 move. So you think
Well,
that sounds about right there, Nick? You think this thing's going to move $6 one way or the other?
I think it's going to move big one way or another. It's just I don't think we're going to have another HLF, which I bought puts on HLF. Maybe I can salvage some value out of them. Right now, it was looking a little better for me.
So, Nick, would you buy Strangle? You know, maybe like a 41. I mean, if you think it's going to move $6, I mean, Dennis, can you price out the 41 Strangle there or the 40 Strangle or not? I mean, like a 45 call in a 35 put or something like
This
that.
would be based on yesterday's pricing, obviously, because the options aren't open here yet. But yesterday, just give me a second here. I actually didn't have them up. You want the 45 call, Joel?
Go like yeah.
The 45 call for this week's $1.20.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. It's just the
Yeah,
premium.
you see, but
So
with
much
a gamble
on that.
like this, I'd rather flip a coin and make a directional bet and buy something closer to the money that has a
Okay.
chance of
That's
working out.
yeah.
Because then I don't have to make two guesses. The first
Right.
guess is in which direction, and the second guess how far out.
Right.
Well, guess the direction and make the other one a sure thing. So why add another variable that could trip you up? Yes, you're going to pay a little extra for it, but if you want to participate, there's nothing free. Now, if you want to make it a complete lotto every once in a while, fine, step out for penny play. But if you want a chance at doubling your money, flip a coin and buy close to the money.
Where are the 38 puts at, Dennis? 38.
38s?
Yeah.
35s were 75 cents.
Oh,
The 38s. Hang on, 38s.
No, it's gonna be like
this
$4.
week expiration.
$3-4. I bet. I'll go 327.
No, it won't be that much. But I'll tell you, it's going to be
Not under two-
$1.70. It's
Really?
$1.70, 38 puts. It's
So
still a lot of money, though. $1.70, so it's got to go down to 36.30 there for you to break even on that. I don't know, man. That's a lot of money.
What about this
The-
LinkedIn chart there, Nick?
Yeah, well, it's one of the things I wanted to talk about today.
Okay, go ahead.
Yesterday, I posted a LinkedIn write-up, which was it's not too long ago we were talking about 300 or high twos, and now we're closer to 100. And if you zoom out to 2 years, and you can see really the impact of the level where we're at, it's just incredible. I mean, 125-ish is really where it was flatlined for the longest time. And then suddenly it leaped up. So now there's an open gap that starts somewhere around 140. So it's not that far from there. I'm not a believer in always hunting open gaps, but it's there.
It certainly is. Yeah, that gap that you're talking about, Nick, is from 126.24 to 140.13. So
And it's February of 2013. So but that level, if you believe that the company is not fake, I mean that should be a bottom, assuming that the market does not crash in general. Because if you look at it, it's spent a lot of time. It's in that area, 100 to 130-ish.
I remember
Yeah.
that. Yep.
So it's a well-consolidated level from which it leaped, leaped, whatever. So if somebody wants to take a shot with a credit put spread down there, if you can get premium long-term there and set it and forget it type of a trade somewhat, then that might be something to consider. But, which brings me to another thing I wanted to mention today. So now the major trade becomes a coin flip. What do I mean by that is, will we correct, will we not correct? And that's where you're going to set up all your trades. I talk macro. Well, now the macro has a coin flip element to it, as opposed to the fundamentals, because the fundamentals are still the same. But what's going on with the macro? Everybody wants this stupid correction, and if you build it, they will come. And if you anticipate it long enough, it may become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So will we correct? Won't we correct?
Well,
If
I was going to say we got some major macro news coming this week too. We got a 2-day Fed meeting starting today, and then
Yeah.
obviously Friday we got the jobs. So
Right. Well, in the Fed meeting, I don't think they're going to say anything different than they've been saying for the last year and a half. We're here for as long as you need us. Period. That's the message that's been with the Fed. We're not raising rates anytime soon. Now, if they decide to say they're going to raise rates, look out below, because the one day where she threw it out by mistake, we had a tizzy that
remember.
we still haven't recovered from that.
Okay.
Yeah, in the question and answer session, she wanted to crawl under the table. I think after she said that, the market
Oh
got
my
killed.
gosh, I can't believe she said that. She should have
It was an
retracted it.
oops.
She should have retracted.
Well, I guess you don't want to retract stuff you're saying, but I think she's like, how did that come out of my mouth? Oops.
Yeah, really. That diarrhea of the mouth there. The one thing, a couple more thing is the globally the Ukraine issue is not going away. Like I've been saying that May is going to be a little volatile locally there because they have elections coming and they're going to struggle for power. Well, it came about a little closer than May because here we are looking at headlines. But I think the world needs to unite to deliver the stern message that Obama is trying to deliver. And so far, I haven't seen that. It's been sporadic, splintered, and it doesn't have an effect. Whereas if France, Germany, all these guys stand up and say, yes, we're behind Obama 100%, we're going to put this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, maybe the message would be stern. So far, it's been, we're going to maybe do something about it. We're going to maybe do something. And no, it's not like yeah, we're saying it, but nobody else. Do you feel like anybody else is going to be standing tall and strong behind us? I don't feel that.
No,
So
not at all. I noticed yesterday too. They actually had someone on from the Guggenheim Foundation. They were talking about all that Michigas with the Clippers and whatnot. And he flat out. This was when the Spoos were traded, like in 1847, 1848. And he said, "I definitely think that Russia is going to invade Ukraine."
yeah, I
And
heard that. I
yeah,
heard
and
that.
I'm like, wow, that's a pretty big statement. And the low was in for the day already in the Spoos. I believe it was 1844. And I saw a little blip down, and they dropped 2 points when he said that, and then it immediately came back. And at that point, I was like, oh boy, if that was a pretty bold statement. It didn't take it through the low, and then I think I got up and got a drink of water or something. I came back, and then it was off to the races. But using the
Yeah.
old CNBC thing, just going back to gaps real quick. I mean, if you've been a patient trader in Facebook here, it's filling a gap. It's filling, and I think it did in yesterday's session. So, boy, decent numbers, and they still whacked it. Yesterday's low was at 54.66. You gapped up from 54.95 to 60.46 here. So, you tempted it all in this Facebook, or is it just too strong of a downtrend?
Facebook bounced off of an important level ish. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at it, and it's defended that level a couple of times already. It broke
55.
through it just under that gap a little bit, but then it's bounced hard. So it almost says, okay, it bounced the same level. And it closed, it had a decent candle, although red, it rejected the low of the day. But now I'm looking at it, I'm not a technician, but I take the spirit of technicals, and it's head and shoulder ish. I always say that. You can argue for, they ran it up to 57 and a half back in, well, this is 2 year. Let me zoom in to see if it,
It did
okay,
fill
so
the gap from February for sure. At that 55 level, you had the high. This was on an earnings play too. 54.95 high, gapped up that data 60.46, and then lo and
yeah,
behold, you filled that gap yesterday. But
right. I see that. So, but just before that, they tried to run it up and it ran against a roof. Boom, 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 boom. Then fell down and then gapped up, broke the roof, and then ran up to 70 ish and then fell, right? And then they tried to run it back up 62 and a half a couple of times, fail a couple of times more, and then failed again now back to a neckline of sorts to just under the gap. So now they've had 3 attempts, the middle of which was the strongest. That to me looks like a head and shoulder behavior. You run up, you fail, you run up higher, you fail, you run up, you fail worse than the second time. So are they tired
hmm
or not? So now it's almost a coin flip. I'm not going to invest in a coin flip.
Okay, that's good. Just all right to close things out here. Just macro. Let's get macro on us,
Yeah.
Nick. Back up here against all-time highs. Have a couple highs from Friday and Monday session up here. 71, 75, 73, 75. You looking for that? You still selling to that resistance here until you see some kind of news, fundamental news, or we getting a
Yesterday,
break?
I was convicted selling the pop because it was a relief pop that nothing happened over the weekend.
Mhm.
Today, I'm more scared of the pop Not because the data changed. The data is still the same. Anything above 1875 is resistance. 1880 is much stronger. 1875, 1885, 1890 on the SPX, that is a good strong band of resistance. I think the 1900 is still impenetrable with the data I'm looking at, but I'm not going to short it. Yesterday I was more convicted in shorting it. Today I'm not. Macro, I'm going to back up and revisit the relationship with the rates that we have. We've had this killer relationship, inverse relationship. We've got two on one side. We got the TLT and the yen on one side working against the markets, and the 10-year on the other side. So the first two rise, the second two fall, and it's been tick for tick. Now the TLT looks like it's, although still on the upper side of the channel in the last 180 days, it looks like it's stalling. And today's opening, it's looking like it's going to open down. Same with the yen. And the 10-year looks like it's plus 1%, plus 2% probably today. If we can maintain that, then we have a chance at keeping green. I don't want us to break the new highs. I want us to just build a base and stick it to the bears and say, hey, listen, you're going to scare us into selling to a certain point, but then we're going to hold our ground until you change the fundamentals on us. If you change the fundamental on us, then maybe we'll sell.
You know what I think is going to happen, Nick?
Right.
I think we're going to go up there. We're going to penetrate 1900 and then turn and kill everybody who covers. First, the bears will all be like, oh, 1900. Everybody on CNBC will start getting bullish, and I think that's when we'll rock it. I think there's just so much overhead resistance and so many people leaning on this whole 1875 to 1890 area that we got to go out there, take out all those shorts, make new highs. Breakout becomes a fake out, and then we take it down. That's what I think is going to happen.
We can't close up there with this data, don't you think? I mean, we have so many.
I don't think it matters. I think there's just so many people leaning on this whole area because it's been like a dozen times we've been up here in this 1870s. We need to get those shorts out.
Yeah, I feel like slapping everybody that goes on CNBC and says, we need a 10% correction so we can buy. They said that, and when you dropped 10% in the Nasdaq, nobody bought anything.
Then they were saying we're going down 30.
Yeah, well, where the heck are these guys that say we need a 10%? Well, pretty ballsy of you to say we need an accident to find out what kind of drivers we are. You know, it's just crazy to ask for a correction just so you can buy in. Buy the stuff you believe in, or short the stuff you don't believe in. Don't ask for the whole market to go down and ruin people's lives. That's just crazy talk.
Okay. Yeah. Cleaning out the book. Words of wisdom. Nick, thank you for coming on again. Nick's product on MarketFi, creating income with option spreads that wouldn't be selling straddles, Dennis. So we will we'll end the segment now. Thanks, Nick. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Quick 2-minute imbalance talk.
2-minute imbalance talk.
Every single day I come in and Coca-Cola has 300,000 to sell. No different today. It has 350,000 to sell. Remember that GE guy that had like 300,000 to buy every day for like 2 weeks? That's what this reminds me of. It's like the third day in a row. And if you're buying and fading that opening print on Coke, you've been rewarded every single time. So Coke opens down 10, 15, 20 cents. It seems like it's the play. It's been working here 3-4 times. I don't know when it's going to stop working. Eventually it will stop working. But again, the same story. Opened kind of flat actually yesterday, but the market was up 5 or 6 points, then it immediately ran. And you've still got, Coke's still viewed as defensive, so still in favor there as well. So Coke 350,000 to sell. Pfizer 112,000 to sell, which is interesting because the stock is actually trading up here 20 cents. So something's got to change there. Either the pre-market's going to come down or that imbalance is going to flip. Bank America 426,000 to buy. Which isn't a ton of stock considering that thing's it's already traded here in the pre-market 1 million shares, and it's going to trade a lot more here today, so that's not huge. That's pretty much all I see. A few sell imbalances, XOM and Chevron both sell imbalances, so interesting that I am seeing a few sell imbalances despite the market being up 4.5 points.
Did get any action on the Pfizer yesterday off the open? Because it was it was trading up in the pre-market, and then I don't think wasn't it trading higher in the pre-market?
Yeah, it didn't open high enough. So I was hoping the thing would open over 32, and I'd get a fade to fade it off, a pop to fade, because we were talking about that yesterday, and I think it opened around like 31.5. I didn't open that high. So that opened a little bit almost too low, but I wasn't going to buy the thing up $1 or 70 cents or whatever whatever it was up yesterday. So I just did not make a trade on it. And it actually did run and give you a shot then. It was up at 32.27. But I tell you, resistance very well defined in this thing too. 32.5, man, that is huge on this stock. We are 20 cents away from there right now.
Something in the book?
Yeah, there's like 100,000 shares in the book at 32.5. Plus, you can see on the charts, it's just thick all in that area. So that's the area of resistance here. If the thing opens up or goes into that running mode here again, I think yesterday's high, which was 32.35 to 32.50, will probably thicken up.
Yeah, you did. I see what you're saying here. You did have three highs between 32.39 and 32.69 at the beginning of April. So just a lot of merger talk, with AstraZeneca, and that boy, they just keep driving the price up of that stock. So we'll see what happens. I mean, if you saw what happened to Newmont when the deal came off the table here, and who knows what will happen with Pfizer. It'd be one big deal. So anything else there, Dennis? Any other imbalances of note?
Well, we got Sheldon we got to go grab here in a second. I don't see too many other notable imbalances. Colt's Luck is just quickly asking about Home Depot, so maybe we'll quickly do a technical, and then we'll get our guest.
Hello?
Home Depot. Or is our guest here?
It's Darth Vader. We're getting a little feedback there, Sheldon.
Somebody talks. So it sounds like it's through a
Sounds like he's
goldfish
listening to
bowl.
the show on the browser.
I hear Joe Young.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we do hear you now. Actually, we do hear you. Now.
Okay.
Can you kill the show on do you have the show open on a browser there?
Yeah, I off now there. I was busy having a hit of espresso there.
Oh, that's what it was.
That was your
The
espresso machine.
we were hearing.
Yeah, that's what it
making
was.
an
I
espresso.
watched hockey too late last night.
Okay.
You're an LA King fan?
No, actually, I'm a Colorado Avalanche fan.
Okay. All right. That's all right. So Sheldon McIntyre of 360 Virtual Advisor, getting to give us a little bit longer term outlook on the market. We were just discussing with Nick, man, we have seen some just unbelievable intraday volatility. V bottom yesterday in the S&Ps came back. I mean, when you're trading, your instruments, are you getting stopped out on some of your longs, or are you just trying to base your stuff on end of day prices?
No, I've gotten stopped out of a few positions here. Yesterday, for example, I was long FNSR, and that hit my stop yesterday. That was one of the last longs that I have, actually, and I was stopped out of that one. So, I mean, in terms of clients, I haven't really been doing too much. For myself, on my short-term account, I've been trading intraday. It's actually, the markets have been volatile, but they've been respecting a lot of the intraday moving averages that I use, as well as the intraday cloud supports and resistances. So for me, their volatility actually, I enjoy a little bit because it gives me an opportunity to do some intraday trading, which I normally don't get to do.
What kind of instruments do you trade for your intraday trading? Are you like the S&P futures, the spiders, or some of the ETFs? What's your
Largely, I look at the ETFs.
Okay.
I look at either the 2 times or 3 times in terms of.
I like to trade the levered ones.
Yes, I do.
Gives you
I mean, if you're
intraday
going to go, you
leverage.
might as well go big, right?
Yeah, gives you good
Go-
intraday leverage. That's for sure.
Yeah, go big or go home. So what? So I'm trying to think of those. I mean, the FAS is the triple bull, right?
That's
Yeah.
on the financials.
Yeah.
I usually focus, because my general market working thesis is benchmarked off the SPY or the S&P 500. So I generally rotate between SPXS and UPRO, whether it's long or short, and I just use those. I feel the most comfortable with those. Probably I don't get as much, upside as maybe going in biotech leverage ETFs, but I feel more comfortable, and I have a lot more success with those 2 leverage ETFs off the S&P 500.
Okay, JG101 here was looking at the FNSR, for a long here. What was your thesis on this stock? Came off pretty hard. You perhaps looking to, reload at the $25 level, or you just did you get stopped out from a long
No,
term
I
position?
simply it hit my stop 5% down. I was out. It was a stock that I've been watching here while the market was coming off, particularly the Nasdaq area, and it was showing relative strength. One of the things I focus on a lot, particularly when the market is correcting or trending downwards, is relative strength, which stocks are standing out. And this was a stock that was standing out that way. So when it broke out, let me confirm the date here on the 20, I guess it would have been the 21st. The RS line actually, if you use Market Smith, the RS line actually was already in new highs before price. And that's generally a bullish situation, definitely something I look for. But you know what? The market just wasn't there, and the trade didn't work. So it hit my stop yesterday, and I will watch it to reset. I definitely haven't put it in the trash bin yet,
Yeah, you're not
but it would
quali-
have to
I'm
go back and break out into a new high before I would look at touching it again.
Okay, you're not qualified to go on CNBC if you admit you have losing trades.
Doesn't hurt my feelings at all.
Yeah, you gotta have
I get that
losers.
on cable down here, so it doesn't bother me.
Okay, just looking at S&P futures, bumping up against Friday's high and Monday's high here in the 1872, 1873 level. Dennis is kind of leaning that there's just a lot of paper, a lot of sellers up above. He's kind of leaning that we take them out, make them run at 1900, and then perhaps get a washout. You just gonna respect this resistance here, or you looking for a breakout?
Well, I've been operating since the February when we had the bullish outside month. I adjusted my price target for the S&P 500 up to around 1915 to 1920, and that's basically what I think we'll see here because of the divergent situations of the indexes relative to the shorter term daily moving averages. For example, the Nasdaq 100, the Nasdaq, the Russell, etc., well below their 50-day. And then you have the S&P close to a new bull market high. I think what will happen is you will get 1900 tested, maybe slightly above, and that will create a negative divergence between the indexes, with obviously the Nasdaq still well below. And I think that's where you'll see another tell that we are putting in an intermediate top. But I do agree that 1900 or slightly above probably is about the best we're going to get.
Right, and we do have some macro news coming out this week. 2-day Fed meeting, unemployment number on Friday. So, do you position yourself ahead of those, or do you just wait to react after the numbers are released?
Well, in terms of the Fed meeting, I'm not a Fed watcher per se. I mean, for my view is this. I think there was I forget who the individual was, but he had sort of a rule that was like 3 steps and a stumble. And in March, we had 3 consecutive tight or cutting back or tapering, whatever you want to call it, on the Fed buying. And since that time, if you look at the closing price on the indexes from there to the lows that we saw, I think was on April 15th, the NASDAQ had dropped about 8.4%, and the Russell was down about 8%, and the IBD 50 had dropped 13.4%. And that sort of, to me, says, I know people say, okay, well, it's not raising interest rates, but it is a de facto cutting back on liquidity in the market anyways. And I don't think it's any surprise we've seen that. I think this meeting, they will go ahead again. What I'm looking for is volatility coming out tomorrow. How the market's going to react. If we see volatility go higher after the announcement, that would tell me that the market's probably going to sell off in the afternoon.
Okay.
If we see volatility come off, we should be looking for the market to strengthen.
Looking at the gold markets here, I mean, just kind of hanging out at the 1300 level. I know you dropped a link in the chat when we were talking about gold before. Did you trade the gold market or the GLD or the gold futures at all? Do you have any opinion on that?
The gold market, I don't trade it too much. I mean, through the ETF, I did take a pretty large position earlier in the year in the gold miners, in the junior gold miners. I really liked how the chart was setting up there. That didn't work out. That was actually ended up being my worst trade of the year. Once again, making a losing trade.
Oh my God!
Uh,
Now you're really in trouble here.
I know, aren't I? This weekend I actually, because I'm in Chile, mining is a very big
Mhm.
business down here, and negativity across the board. I would say gold is probably still could make another low here before we see it rebound. It would not surprise me.
Well, I mean that would go with your thesis as far as the market going higher. Just moving on to the other big commodity that we follow, crude. A few weeks ago, Gene Epstein wrote an article, $75 crude, and then during the anniversary show they had Larry Kudlow on, and he was confirming his outlook for $75 crude. So I think that's almost like an affirmation that crude is moving higher. I just don't see even with the cartels out there losing their strength, I just don't see it happening. You have any kind of outlook for crude?
Well, I won't. I don't have like a well defined. What I would say really, when I look at a lot of the commodities, I just look at where they are relative to their 200-week simple moving average, and in my opinion, really, it's a 200-week simple moving average story, and it's been that case really for several years. Either it gets a little bit above and then falls back below, and then it goes back above and goes back below. There hasn't really been a definitive breakaway from the 200-week simple moving average. And for me, that's characteristic of a market that's still in a bear market at this point. Until we see a notable break away from that moving average, I really don't have a definitive opinion on it.
Okay. Do you do anything in the options market, the shorter term options, the weeklies, or are you just out there playing the actual equities?
No, I'm a pretty much straight up equity guy.
Okay. And for
A little
invest.
bit emerging market debt occasionally.
Okay. And just moving on to some of the hot issues here. With Apple, is that a stock you have in your portfolio?
No,
Nope. Not tempted
not at
here.
all. Haven't
No.
had it for maybe a year and a half.
Okay. All right.
Well, it hasn't been a relative strength leader, so it just hasn't been there on my screening, it hasn't been there in my work, so it hasn't demanded my attention at all.
Okay, and just with the market up here at elevated levels here, is there any bargains out there that you see just on a relative basis?
Oof. Well, I'm not a valuation guy per se, so I can't really say bargains, but I do like chart wise. I do like how the copper miners, the chart on the COPX, for example, looks like there might be a bullish turn developing there, and also in the fertilizer companies, SOIL. Those two charts, I guess, if you want to say bargains, do look attractive. The 200 days starting to make the turn, etc. But individual stock value, I'm not. That's not really what I do.
Okay, and the fertilizers. Just looking at a couple of the individual issues here. Pot here starting to turn here. That stock hung out at the $30 level for a long time, but seemed to be getting a nice rise on that. But you prefer to play the ETF versus the actual
Yeah,
individual
I
stock.
do. And the simple reason is that when I'm looking at ETFs making the turn off the low or potentially making the turn off the low, I prefer just to stick with ETF, put away the individual stock risk for the moment, and see if there is momentum in that space, and then I will perhaps transition into stocks if they meet my criteria thereafter. But off the hop, I will stick with just the ETF. I prefer to avoid the individual stock risk.
Okay, all
Although
right.
I might take a stab at pot because it's from my home province in Canada, but
Okay, all right. We've had Sheldon McIntyre here of 360 Virtual Advisor, giving his take on the market, sticking to his moving averages, and taking an outlook at the market for us here. Sheldon, thanks a lot for coming on, and I always see you in the chat there. Appreciate any comments that you could throw in. Have a good
I
trading.
appreciate the chat room. Actually, I put it on and I can do my work and get caught up on the market, so I appreciate that.
Okay, that's what Kyle says. So good. Well, thanks for participating, and we'll speak to you soon.
All right, take care, guys.
Okay, Sheldon McIntyre of 360 Virtual Advisor.
Joel,
Brett, what do you got?
We got a huge spike in crude. We just spiked up
I
from
know,
around
I saw that.
101.20 to almost at 101.90 right now. Trying to find a little bit of news that would account for it, but I am a little stumped here.
Yeah, I saw that. It did when we began the show at the 8 o'clock hour. You had bumped up against Monday's high at 101.52, and you had a little bit of a pullback.
Yep.
But boy, that
Off
was
to the races
yeah,
after that.
off to the races here. I wonder if some fundamental news broke. We'll be
That's
scanning.
what I'm trying to look
We'll be
for.
scanning the globe for that information.
Alrighty.
For our crude traders, Friday's high was 102.05. 102.05. Next resistance level for crude, around a nice whole number. So if you're playing that pop off that 101.50 level, potential exit point. So, Mighty Joe Young, are you kicking around with any headlines for today?
I'm right here, Joel. Ladies and gentlemen, the government security response teams are urging Windows users to consider Chrome or Firefox as their default browser until Microsoft delivers a security fix for a new flaw affecting all versions of Internet Explorer. Computer emergency response teams in the US, the UK, and Sweden have advised Windows users to consider avoiding Internet Explorer until Microsoft fixes the vulnerability. Microsoft over the weekend confirmed the flaw was being exploited in limited targeted attacks, which used a rigged flash file hosted on attack websites to net victims. Attackers that successfully exploit the flaw affecting IE6 to IE11 could gain the same user rights as the original user, according to Microsoft. The company has yet to announce whether it will release an out-of-band patch or wait until the next patch Tuesday, scheduled for May 13th, to deliver a fix. It will also be the first patch update from Microsoft that excludes Windows XP, which still runs on about 29% of the world's PCs. Shareholders in the Berkshire Hathaway are being given the opportunity to buy a diamond laser inscribed with the signature of company founder and head Warren Buffett at the firm's May 3rd annual meeting. Investment guru Warren Buffett will also be personally selling signing diamonds and jewelry from the Borsheim's fine jewelry and gifts retailer that belongs to Berkshire Hathaway the following day. The limited edition diamonds for sale only to company shareholders attending the annual meeting include 26 loose diamonds ranging in size from 0.75 carats to 5 carats at prices from $5,000 to more than $200,000. The round and square cut diamonds are ready to be mounted as earrings, pendants, or rings. Borsheim's marketing and advertising director Adrian Fay said 25 signed diamonds have also been set into diamond pendant necklaces and will be on sale at the site of the shareholder meeting. The half-carat diamond pendant necklace featuring Buffett's signature formally sells for $2,500, but company shareholders can buy it for $1,750. Each diamond is sold with a pamphlet describing it and a loop so that the buyer can see the inscription. The polished diamonds are originally from mines in Canada's Northwest Territories. Joel, are you a Berkshire Hathaway holder? Are you going to buy Lisa a Warren Buffett inscribed diamond?
No.
No?
Nope.
No to the diamond or no to the shareholder?
I'm not a big fan.
Okay. Just thought I'd check. Brent, what about you?
Sounds like a pretty good idea, but I won't be buying one, and I am not currently a Berkshire holder.
And
Full
you're not
disclosure.
buying diamonds for your girl or anything?
I mean,
You're gonna buy a rock
nah,
soon there?
I
A
don't
little
think so.
pressure?
I
No?
don't think so.
Yeah,
no.
pressure him on the air, Joel. Good idea.
Yeah.
Netflix and Verizon Communications have reached an agreement to allow the video streaming service to gain direct access to Verizon's network following a similar deal in February between Netflix and Comcast. The Wall Street Journal reported on Monday. The access is meant to improve speed with which Netflix users can stream video. Financial details of the deal weren't disclosed, though both companies confirmed the transaction, the report said. Doximity, a professional network for doctors on Monday said that it had raised a $54 million financing round led by the venture capital firm Draper Fisher Jurvetson. That's my Jervis, and the mutual fund company T. Rowe Price. Morgan Stanley Investment Management also invested. The company's valuation in the round was not disclosed. The money, which brings Doximity's total financing to $81 million, highlights investors' appetite for relatively specialized social networks. Avo, a directory of lawyers, Wattpad, an online community for writers, GitHub, a collaboration network for coders, and Nextdoor, a social network for neighbors, have each raised millions in venture capital. At the same time, the financing shows the increased clout in Silicon Valley of staid mutual fund companies like T. Rowe Price, which has done a number of deals recently, including an investment in the home sharing site Airbnb. Monday's Los Angeles Times reports Toyota is expected to move its North American sales and marketing headquarters from Torrance, California to Dallas, Texas. Around 5,300 people are employed at the Toyota offices in Torrance. The automaker currently operates 13 manufacturing plants in North America, including 10 in the U.S., while directly employing more than 32,000 people at its American facilities. Most of those U.S. plants are located in Texas and the Southeast. A number of companies have moved their headquarters out of the Golden State in recent years as they look for lower operating costs, less regulations, a lower tax burden, and stronger regional economies. And sponsors are pulling a fast break away from the Los Angeles Clippers and their embattled owner Donald Sterling. As a condemnation of Sterling and his racially insensitive comments spread Monday, major financial supporters of the NBA franchise announced they were severing ties with the Clippers. In rapid succession, the mass exodus included used car seller CarMax, State Farm Insurance, Kia Motors America, Virgin America, P. Diddy's water brand Aqua Hydrate, Red Bull, Yokohama Tires, Mercedes-Benz, and Adidas. And let's see here, hot off the presses, Shubs is handing me a trivia question for today. So not everyone was alive when this was around, but Joel was. In 1983, what was David Bowie's first #1 hit in both the U.S. and the UK? That's today's trivia question. In 1983, what was David Bowie's first #1 hit in both the U.S. and the UK?
It's either Changes or Suffragette City.
Those are both from the 70s.
Ooh, okay. I met Lisa. I asked her to dance to a David Bowie song.
That was when you guys. That was the first interaction.
Yep.
What
yep.
song
Wow.
was
1984.
That's fancy.
What
Yep.
song was it?
Might have been Suffragette City.
How do you dance to? Show us how you dance to that song.
I can dance to anything.
The
man.
winner of today's trivia question will get a video of Joel dancing to Suffragette City.
Wow.
Did you get any responses in the chat room yet?
No.
Shubs, did you put the question in the chat room?
This is a good question,
It is
Joe.
a good question.
So maybe we're stumping people.
I
in
think
the
we are stumping
audience
people.
also.
The answer to, in 1983, what was David Bowie's first #1 hit in both the U.S. and the UK
Yes.
was Let's Dance.
Oh, maybe that was a
What? That
song.
would
Maybe
make
that's the song
sense.
I asked you to dance to. I can't.
Yeah,
remember.
maybe it was. All right. Well, sorry, no one wins the video today. JH3 Ziggy Stardust was from the 70s, just
Ooh,
like
that's not a bad
Suffragette
guess
City.
either.
And what was the other one you said, Joel?
Changes.
Changes, that's right. Off of the album Changes, yeah. So that wraps it up for today's editorial headlines and trivia questions. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, the show would not be possible without our dear friends at Options House. They'll give you 150 commission-free trades just for signing up for an account through this page. There's buttons at the top, at the bottom right. You can subscribe to newsletters on this page. You can do everything. So click
Ooh.
on through, open an Options House account, get 150 commission-free trades. But don't worry, you get to enjoy the interviews for free. Did we already preview Thursday again?
No, I don't think we have.
Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Well, tomorrow we
Drum
got
roll, please.
Ryan Mallory is back from Share Planner tomorrow, and on Friday we have Sean Udall from Udall Tech Strat. But Thursday is the big day, ladies and gentlemen. Doug Cass, Seabreeze Capital Partners or Seabreeze Management. Doug Cass, the Doug Cass, walking around with his teddy bear. So that wraps it up for me today. Brent is here with rating changes. He's going to take it from here.
Yes, but I need to post a headline really quick. Allergan said to explore sale to Sanofi J&J instead of Valiant. AGN is ticker. Joel, could you see if we're getting any action in Allergan right here on this headline? It's literally just breaking.
Okay, so just higher and higher and higher. They're bleeding the street here. What else can you say? It's moving up. Who knows what the price is going to be? Ackman's making more money here. We are spiking up here. Latest trade at 172.70, the latest high. Pulled back from 179, 170.99. I mean, how can you be short this issue? I mean, merger talks everywhere.
And it looks like we do have the S&P responding. I'm not sure if maybe J&J trading lower on this, but we did just now get a spike lower in the S&P 500. I don't see
bunching up
anything.
against resistance
Okay.
here. I mean, little spikes here. I mean, I'm the only one who gets excited about a 2-point down move in the S&Ps, but you got to respect the overhead resistance. You had the high from yesterday's session at 71.75, and Friday's high at 73.75. Triple close at the 73.74 area. So overhead resistance holding up so far in pre-market trading.
And we did just have we're moving lower over the last few minutes. Just after 9, we did bounce off of just under 1870. We did have a little bit of housing data. S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index for the month of February came in a little worse than expected. It was up a little worse than expected for the month, but nonetheless, the bulls in the market bought it. Right now, we're trading around 1870. We have about 6 minutes before the open, so everyone get their trades ready while I guide you through a couple of the top upgrades and downgrades for this morning. We did have an upgrade on shares of HP this morning, Joel. Pacific Crest upgrading HPQ from sector perform to outperform.
I haven't talked about Hewlett Packard here in a while. Kind of bunching up. I mean, this thing made a recent high of the move, took some profits, and came back down. Found a host of support here. I'd call it the mid 31s here. 31.50 was the low from yesterday, but several of the lows: 31.43, 31.63, 31.45 here. Popping up a little bit in the pre-market, actually trading at 32.64, trading up quite a bit here, trading up 45 cents. Pre-market high right here, right now, 32.65. Looking at the dailies, not a lot in this. Couple highs at the 32.50 area. Momentum continues here. 33 even and 32.10 were your highs from the 15th and the 16th.
All right, we had Stern AG upgrading shares of Intuitive Surgical this morning. Upgraded that one from underperform to neutral. I haven't looked at Intuitive this morning. It looks like it's pretty quiet pre-market, actually.
Which one?
ISRG, Intuitive
Ooh.
Surgical.
Oh, this is a mover here.
It's always been a mover, you know.
Yeah.
I've been tracking this thing for a number of years, and it never ceases to amaze me, the volatility in this one.
I mean, how can you trade this one? I mean, you really can't trade it with the stop. Maybe with options here, hanging out at the 367 level. I don't know. I mean, lows of the move right here. I mean, if it looks like that the selling pressure has calmed down a little bit here in ISRG, kind of tight ranges the last couple of days. So if you want to take a stab here at the 360, 370 level, the recent low of the move was on Friday at 362.64.
All right, one more this morning for you. On the upgrade side of things, Joel, iRobot upgraded from underweight to neutral at JP Morgan. You know that ticker, Joel?
IBOT?
Oh, IRBT. I think
Oh,
you were
I
going
was
to get it the first time.
Thinking, okay, whew. Chart not looking good. Are they up? You said they're upgrading?
They
this?
got an upgrade this morning, that is correct.
From who?
From JP Morgan.
JP
Not
Morgan.
exactly a small fish in the pond
Yeah,
here.
JP Morgan. I mean, they're thinking that the sell-off here from $40 is way overdone. Low at 32.43 yesterday. Couple lows at wow, it got to 32.43 yesterday, but rebounded. Took out the lows that you had at the 33 level. I mean, if you're going based on the chart, they're trying to pick a bottom here. The gap fill, you would need to get down to 31.42. That hasn't happened yet. So, JP Morgan, I'll let them pick the bottom. I'm not going to.
Right. Okay, we got just about a minute 30 before the open. We got just one downgrade for you this morning. One notable one, at least according to me. BMO downgrading shares of Tyson from outperform to marketform. TSN is the ticker on Tyson.
Sell chicken, right?
That's one of the things they do, yes.
Okay.
One of the main things.
This thing has had a nice run up here, taking a little bit of a breather here. It might not be bad to lighten up on the position. Spotty trading here in the pre-market. Third couple lows here in the 36.50, 36.49, and 36.73 are the lows that you had. Oh no, what am I looking at here? The lows from the last two set way off on that one. Sorry. A couple lows here at the $42 level, 42.11, 42.26. The highs in the last two sessions. Trading still above that right now. Close was 42.52. So keep an eye on the close there if they're going to take this thing down at all.
So we have about 20 seconds, about 15 seconds before the open, and it looks like 1870 doesn't want to hold right here.
It's like a magnet.
We're kind of flirting with just under 1870, around 1869.50 right now, just ahead of that open. I jotted down a little bit of. There is the bell.
Ding 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 ding.
1869.50. We are opening at 18. There's a touch at 1870. I did jot down a little note earlier in the chat for us to go back and check out MGM. Dennis said that there was a couple of fishy bids, I think, going on in MGM.
Big offers. There
Okay.
was a big offer.
That
I
sounds
believe
right.
it was 23,000. They were laying it out on edge there.
So how did MGM open, Joel?
MGM that had some decent earnings opens up 75 cents here, a little bit more. 23.89 opening high. That is held up so far. 23, I mean, you're not buying this thing much off a gap here. 23.69 was the high in yesterday's session. So we'll see if MGM here can hold in at the 23.70 level. If not, you need to get down to the close at 23.02. The big size that Dennis was talking about was in I believe at 24.25. So you're really going to need to get some giddy up to get to that level.
And good timing, I guess, on that ticker because we are just right now getting some data out of the Nevada Gaming Commission. They're saying that Las Vegas Strip gambling sales for the month of March were up 10.9%. So if you are trading MGM, Las Vegas Sands, maybe a little win today, you are going to get a little bit of action on this headline that is literally just breaking right now. How about GoGo? How did GoGo open? Tough overnight session for GoGo following that AT&T news.
Just the comment on Vegas,
Okay.
is like they didn't build all those hotels there with by people that made money, right?
Right?
Yeah, so that's the thing I keep in mind. Whenever I go out to Las Wages, though, even though I did hit them up a little bit for the craps table when I was there in March.
Yeah,
so
I heard.
I was lucky enough to walk away a winner there. Go got ripped here early, hung out at $15 for a long time. Buyer there at 15. We'll see what happens. JH3 wants to see what's going on in Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo just not really, just kind of going to its own tune here. Let's take a look on the daily charts because this thing likes to make highs and lows in the same area. Wells Fargo did hit that resistance off the open. It got through Friday's high. 49.33. Excuse me, that was Monday's high. Got to 49.35. Another high at 49.45. So tons of resistance up there. Maybe if you get another pop up to 49.30, if you want to try a lower risk short. If you're looking for support here, the close was at 48.94. So we'll see if we can get down to that level. Let's see, 49.27. I think you referred to that as a triple open. You're right. It's open that day 3 days in a row. We'll keep ahead of the overhead resistance. S&P's getting a pop here.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, making the run at resistance. Overnight high, pre-market high, 72.75. Approaching that. Don't get too carried away. You did have the high from Friday at 73.75. So S&P's trying to get some resistance. Johnny Spangler looking at GLW.
Glassworks.
GLW?
that's the old. I think that's the old company name, wasn't it? That's where they ever got this GLW ticker for Corning, I think.
I'm not
No,
sure.
that's not ringing a bell. I thought for sure you're going to be all over that one.
Oh, why? Just because I'm old, I remember
No.
everything that happened?
No, because you
You're
have
starting to sound like Joe here.
No,
picking
you have
on
like
me.
an awesome memory.
I do.
Dennis and I are going with the goldfish memory, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember they reported 13 cents 6 years
Yeah,
ago.
but sometimes I just make it up. No,
Oh, crap.
had that spike yesterday in the pre-market trading, got way up to 21.66. Could not hit that in the regular session. Instead, just 21.26.33. Major resistance hit 21.30 yesterday. Hanging out at the close here. We'll see if we can make another run up, but you got to respect that 21.20 to 21.30 level. Coming back on the downside, did have a lower open, but did move off the 20.84 level. As long as that holds that early low, I think I'd like to see him maybe go back up and test that 21.30 level again. If not, yesterday's low, 20.35, looks pretty safe here. But GLW looks like it wants to make another run at that resistance, 21.30 to 21.33.
So, Johnny Spangler, if you are trading this one today, we are digesting a little bit of news. Corning, I believe it was late last night, announced that they received a summons from a South African commission in February. That one might be weighing a little bit today. And then also this morning we got results out of Dow Corning, which is the JV between Dow and Corning. They said, let me pull up my handy dandy pro feed here. Q1 adjusted net income was 109 million, sales coming in at 1.52 billion. So if you are trading that one today, there is a little bit of news out there for you to deal with. I think kind of the big earnings play over last night was Herbalife, Joel.
Oh, let's see how.
And for all the action we had last night, we were watching it on the desk. We watched it spike up to almost $62. Watched it spike down to under $56. And for all that volatility, we're about flat right here, about 59.35, and we closed right around 59 yesterday. So a little bit higher on Herbalife today.
Did sneak through the high from yesterday, 59.40, went to 59.56 here. Just holding on here at this level. Let's see if it can continue getting a downward draft, though, in the S&Ps here, knocking its head up against that 1872, 1873 level. Crude just sprinting over 102 to 102.12. That takes it above Friday's high, but I'm still using that as a number, 102.05. So we'll keep an eye on that in the crude market. So much for my prediction of Apple going to 600 today. Did have an open, did make a little bit of a run here, 595.98. Wow, if you were selling yesterday's high, you had a good level, 595.75. We have backed off here, so expect more resistance, make another run back up. S&P giving back some gains here from the overnight session. The close at 1866 as well as the overnight low at 1865 should provide some support here, but 9:37, it's time for the cure. That's Jake LaCure. So.
Oh, I like that one.
Changing it up.
I like that one.
Well, Joel, I guess one thing I want to point out real quick here is that crude oil has been moving to the upside. Let me see when we got that move starting. It started like right on 907, spiked upwards. We are now above 102. So crude oil on the move up almost a buck here. We had a headline coming out of Ukraine again. U.S. calls separatist activity terrorism, pure and simple. Yeah, that really looks like a whole lot of de-escalation going on over there. That has led to a rally in gold, a rally in silver. Copper hasn't really moved yet, but that could be...
you talking macros over there, Jake?
A little bit.
Okay. We had a lot of macro theme today, so... could be the move. You got the spike up in gold and crude, but any issues of interest we should be keeping an eye on?
For sure. So Cubist Pharmaceuticals, CBST, was spiking to the upside this morning. Hit a high of 66.72 at the open before it came down a little bit. We're now still in the mid 65 range. There's some chatter that it may be getting a buyout offer. We have seen a flurry of M&A activity in that sector. So a lot of the names that had been stated in the past as possible candidates to be acquired, I think, are really on the table right now, and they're catching a little bit of a rally from that this morning. So up almost $3 on that news.
Who's sniffing around with them?
We don't have any further reports on that. There's just chatter going around that they could be an acquisition target, and it's been enough to move them to the upside.
Okay, we did. Let's see what's going on in the trading here. 66 even open, rallied up 66.72 here. Not a lot of resistance to speak of here, but here's here's a chart where it's definitely sold off. So someone's kicking around here, may want to take a look at it. You can lean on the low of the move here, 59.13. If you're looking for a swing trade here, you are risking $6 here. But the stock, which is traded as high as $82 not too long ago, 82.12 on February 28th. So who knows where someone's kicking around in the issue.
Hey, real quick, guys. Just getting some breaking news on IBM. Getting a little bit of action here. They are going to raise their quarterly dividend from 95 cents to 110 per share.
Ooh.
And we were trading up. Let's see, trading up about $2 here, and it looks like we're kind of ticking lower on this news actually.
IBM shrugged off the earnings here. I just want to alert our traders here. Might be trying to fill a gap in the issue from that dreadful earnings day here. We did gap down from earnings. You had a low. We did fill the gap there. You had a low at 195. We've already traded through that level. 198.84 fills the gap. The high of the move for IBM as of late's been 199.21. Quite a ways from that level. If we come back under 194, yesterday's high was 193.99. Also, the current low of the session at 193.50.
Well, another one I want to take a look at this morning that did pretty well on earnings yesterday is Buffalo Wild Wings. I don't know if you guys went over that one or not, but BWLD, Bravo Whiskey Lima Delta, is the ticker there. They did beat on the bottom line and beat on the top. And what's interesting about this one is if you want to talk about a stock that should have been affected by winter, by too much snow, it would be a restaurant. If you're getting seriously snowy weather, you're not going to go out to go eat. Right, you're just gonna eat in. Well, another thing you're not gonna do is you're not gonna say, oh, well, we didn't go out to eat at Buffalo Wild Wings at all in February, so we're gonna double the amount that we eat in March. It doesn't happen.
Very true.
Yet they still managed to be on the top and bottom line, and they're expecting 25% growth on the bottom line over the course of the fiscal year. So I think that the street, seems to be fairly impressed with that.
Well, do you think that those same consumers said, we don't want to drive and go sit in the restaurant, we'll go drive and get carry out? That probably doesn't work either, right?
I think maybe sometimes it did, but I mean, if you think about it, there were days where you just couldn't drive, or nobody even wanted to leave the house, and I think you'd assume that would have hurt sales overall.
142.57, the high so far in the session. Does not match the pre-market high yet, a 144.70 here. Also, just looking at that whole 145 area, looks kind of juicy on the chart. Had a 145 high on April 15th, so keep an eye on that. Traded a lot of stock right around the 140 level in the pre-market, so looking perhaps to buy that on a pullback. Should be risking down to yesterday's low, the current low of the session, 138.65.
Another one I want to take a look at, I think we should probably hop into, is 3D Systems. They did report this morning, and I figure we should probably take a look at some of these 3D printers once again. I know you guys were going over it a little bit earlier. The shares, just really moving to the downside here. Below $45 now. I can get you some of the details on the report for anybody that wasn't listening in earlier, but the company reported in line on the bottom line at 15 cents. Revenues beat slightly, but in the end, and they reaffirmed their fiscal year outlook I think the street was really hoping that 3D Systems would come out with a raised outlook. Keep in mind they lowered it drastically. I think it was in early January, and I think the street was hoping that maybe they would come out with an increased outlook, saying, okay, we've found a way to fix the problem, but they haven't, and now they're at 44.90s the last trade I'm seeing.
Yeah, new low of the move here. So if you were leaning on the 45.29, 44, former double bottom in the market, Vavoom gets taken out by a buck, going to 44.33. Now you got to respect that 45.40 level as resistance, and probably will not have a chance to rally until you get a couple closes, at least like in the 15-minute charts there. Now to look at this thing, I mean, it did have a bunch of lows in this area. I see a 45.50 low back in August of 2013. Below that level, man, you got to start thinking about 41.05, which was the low back in June. That'd be another $3 from here, but looking on the weekly charts, that's where your support comes in.
Another one that, if you're just looking at some of these other 3D names, Stratus is showing a lot of weakness too. It's at 92.40 right now. It closed yesterday at about, is that 97 is where it closed at yesterday? Almost 97 yesterday. So Stratus is really moving to the downside too. You got to wonder what's going to be going on there. So a lot of kind of broad weakness in those 3D printers.
Yeah, and this one just tried to hold up a couple times, had a couple rallies back up, but finally enough is enough. The street's punishing this stock as well. Got a rally off the open, making new lows as we speak here. You got to go back to October on October 9th of 2000. This had a low at 89.90, 90 buck level. Closed that day at 92.78. Ways to go from that area, but just not treating these stocks very well. VJet we had talked about, just a not good looking chart at all in that issue. That is trading lower as well. So no love for the 3D printing stocks.
Well, Joel, I guess it's 9:46 now. So
We
a little bit of chop going on in the S&Ps here, while a lot of the commodities are still rallying. Crude managed to hold above 102. What are you thinking for today's session?
Still looking at the resistance here. We did hit 73, so we did make a new high from the pre-market session. 1873.75 was Friday's high. You take that out, things open up to the 1880 level. Didn't quite get a look at the close yet either at 1866, and doesn't look like that's going to happen yet in today's session. So thanks for all of you that have joined the broadcast and put questions in. We appreciate it. We'll be back with you tomorrow.